Alright, part C, last one for this test. I want to evaluate d squared y dx squared at the point on the curve where x is -1 and y is 1. So, first thing that's worth remembering, this is the same point from part A, and I already evaluated dy dx at -1, 1, and found that was 1/4 just by plugging stuff in. You have 1 divided by 3 times -1 squared minus -1, 1/4. Lovely. Okay. That's going to be useful. Next thing, I want to get an expression for d squared y dx squared, and I'll do that by taking the first derivative, dy dx, and that's y over 3y squared minus x, and take the derivative of that with respect to x. And when I take that derivative, I get d squared y dx squared equals, and over here I have to do this kind of ugly quotient rule. So recall that if this is f over g, then the derivative is going to be, actually, let me write this over here. So the derivative with respect to x of f over g is going to be g times f prime minus f times g prime all over g squared. I remember this minus, the g was in the bottom, has sort of a negative exponent, that's why this minus sign comes in here. So we're going to go through it, do it carefully. So the bottom's g. I just keep it as is for the first part. So I have 3y squared minus x. I take the derivative of the top, the derivative of y is 1 times dy dx. So 1 dy dx minus, I have the top, y, times the derivative of the bottom. So the derivative of 3y squared is 6y dy dx, because I'm taking the derivative with respect to x. And the derivative of negative x is -1. And that's all divided by 3y squared minus x. And now we can use some of the stuff we did earlier to help us out. We already put in -1 and 1 up here. So d squared y dx squared evaluate at -1, 1. When I put it in here, I got 4. We already did that work. I don't need to redo it. You can see if you do it, but got 4. It should be pretty obvious. We already found dy dx. I don't need to substitute this back in and make a big mess of things. We know that that dy dx at -1, 1 was 1/4, so I get times 1 times 1/4 minus y is 1. 6y is 6 times 1. dy dx is still 1/4. We have a -1 here. And again, oh, this should be squared here from that rule. Sorry about not putting that earlier. We already evaluated this. That's 4, so I get a 4 squared. And now I just have to do the arithmetic. So 4 times 1 times 1/4 is 1. I have 6 times 1 times 1/4, that's 1.5. Minus 1 is 0.5, or 1/2. Times 1 is 1/2, so I have minus 1/2 all over 16. And now there are a few ways to deal with this. This is the way I prefer, though. If I see fractions in a fraction, I'm just going to multiply by sort of the least common denominator of the fractions in the fraction, which is going to be 2, top and bottom. And that will give me 2 minus 1 over 32, which is 1 over 32.